Hi, I'm Ted Lyde.
I'm Justin Apego, and I'm on the road because I don't have a shop. And my buddy Ted here has a problem with his sink.
I have a problem with the entire house. The entire house is old and crumbling all around us, but the sink is the most urgent.
When was this house built?
1912.
So this is old LA, original LA, just after the Pueblo period. And it's this sink constantly dripping, about 4 gallons of drips a day.
Yeah.
But this is not an original fixture.
No. No, we've been here 12 years, so it's probably the 11th. I think like every 2 years,
all right,
we go through a faucet.
And then under the sink, it looks a little like a tangle, but it's not. This is actually nice and will be easy to reach.
Okay.
So that's good news. Now, one thing I want to do, I want to measure how far apart these are. These are 8 inches apart, and your standard faucet is 4 inches apart. Like when you have all 3 ganged up on one thing.
Now, is there an advantage or disadvantage in between the block base or the 3?
No.
This is fancier.
This is fancier. This is more expensive to replace. Okay, the face that Ted made was the face that I predicted when he sent me photos of this, because I wanted to see what I was getting into.
Right.
And I looked at it and I was like, oh man, that's 8 inches apart.
When we bought the house and we replaced the sink, my wife told me just to get the regular base that took the regular housing. She was against the fancy, and I was like, no, we're gonna get the fancy. And now I've learned once again I should have listened.
So to probably like a builder's grade level replacement faucet for this, like the cheapest one is going to be in the $70 range.
Okay.
If this was a 4-inch unit, then the builder's grade one is just like maybe $20.
It's sad because we don't entertain. We don't do anything that would require a fancy rig. So why I should have just listened to her. And that's something, if you're married, you hate to have to say is I should have listened to her.
And now you've said it on camera. My viewership is vast, so everyone's gonna know.
That's good.
Yeah, that looks good. All right, I said that I was doing this whole thing in Ted's bathroom. This is Ted Lyde.
Hi, I'm Ted Lyde. I've known Justin for at least 13 years, maybe?
Yeah. So
thereabouts.
Yeah.
And I have a podcast called Learning Not to Swear with Ted Lyde, where I talk to people about life and the challenges of...
A very, very entertaining and challenging podcast. It's funny, it's sad, it's uplifting.
Try to deal with coping. It's about coping and moving forward and being successful in your career and in your personal life. Justin will be on the podcast very soon.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
So you'll be able to watch this and then tune in and listen to him. Thanks so much.
Man, this thing is aggressively dripping. Though,
yeah, it is. And so, like I said, I've turned them off. Turned off the bases and it keeps dripping.
Right, so let's look at the front of the house and see if you have a pressure regulator
of course,
out there.
I can answer that right now. No.
You actually do. This is for balancing the pressure right here.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. Okay, here's what we determined. The pressure coming into the house is too great. So I'm going to replace this, but eventually the whole pressure situation has to be dealt with. Otherwise, this is going to keep happening. This sink is the first fixture between the street and the rest of the house. So the bulk of the pressure comes in on this faucet, which has failed.
That's with the water off.
Yeah.
And the valves off.
Yeah, so we have too much.
That's a metaphor for my whole life.
Too much pressure.
Too much pressure.
Too much pressure in Ted's house. Okay, here we are under the sink, very dramatically lit because of my work light. And it's under the sink that you do all the work to take the faucet off. There's still water in the line, so I'm going to use this pink bowl to capture as much of that as I can. And I'm going to use this, it's called a basin wrench, and it's so that you can reach way up into those nuts that I showed you earlier when I held the camera up in there, because you can't fit one of these or one of these up in there. This makes it a lot easier because you can hold it like that, grab your nut, and then twist it like so. But I'll tell you what, these are a pain in the ass. They slip, maybe that's me. They work and they make your life easier, but that doesn't mean that they're easy. But anyway, I'm gonna get under here and do this. Ted was kind enough to, oh man, how am I gonna? Ted was kind enough to clean the floor before I lay down here. So that was cool. little more water than I intended. That's the hot side done. Now I've got to get way up there with the basin wrench. All right, I need to find a more awkward pose. Okay, I wasn't able to reach. I can't get in there with the basin wrench. So I'm gonna use this. This is a shower valve socket wrench. It's not really for this, but it'll work because what it does is it fits over the stem of the valve and then grabs the nut and you turn it. I'm gonna do the same thing here. On the other side of the sink, leverage, leverage. A little WD-40 on the threads might help it loosen up. Once you get it loose enough with this, or with the basin wrench if that's working for you, then you can just do it with your fingers. And then here's your handle. Now do the same thing on the other side. I've been using a screwdriver in this hole for leverage. It comes with a pin that you can use for that. That gives you extra leverage. But it's too short for this situation. I can't quite reach it in there. The screwdriver is my friend. I'm going to show you this. I can tell that this one is the one that's really been leaking because it's green. As opposed to the one that I just took out. I don't know how well you can see that greenness up there. You're going to have to trust me. Now there's one faucet handle gone and this one left to go. Okay, this particular handle is being really, really stubborn. So I'm gonna try and disassemble it from the top. There's a little set screw right in here. Okay, so this little guy comes out and, there we go. Now, that comes off. I'll just unscrew this whole piece right here. There we go. Now, this nut right here is the one that didn't want to come out. It's just too jammed in there and corroded. This is all rusted. See how rusted it all is in there. So I took it out from the top instead of from the bottom. And that's problem solving. Okay, now I'm gonna get some sandpaper for this area in here. Just because of hard water deposits and stuff like that, I want it to be nice and cleaned up. So I'll be right back with sandpaper. Okay, you know I'm not operating out of my shop. Half of my stuff is in storage, so I couldn't quickly put my hands on any sandpaper. So I am using a flap disc for my grinder, but it's gonna work fine. In fact, it's easy to hold. Basically, what I want to do here is get rid of anything that's going to be in the way of creating a watertight seal. I'm not looking for a pristine surface, and I'm also being careful not to go anywhere beyond where the fittings will be, because I don't want to damage the surface. Okay. All right. Here is the new faucet set. Instructions. I will not be throwing the instructions away, as I often do. Okay. First, in goes the faucet. There's all these nuts and washers already here, so I'm going to take these off. Now I'm going to put these washers back on in the reverse order to which they came off. The rubber one, the metal one, and then the nut. It's easy when you're doing this awkward, holding it on the top, reaching through on the bottom to get it cross-threaded. So be careful that you pay attention and that you're not doing that. And then also, before you get it super tightened down, try and get it lined up properly in the middle of the sink, right over the drain. That looks good. Okay. Now it's time for the valves. So again, I'm going to take all this off and do the same thing on this side. This system is different than the one that I removed. In order to create the seal, I'm going to tighten, when this is under the sink, I'm going to tighten these two screws, and they're going to press this washer up against the bottom of the sink and squeeze it in place. And that way, if it ever comes time to take this apart, you shouldn't need to get under there with the basin wrench. You could do it with a screwdriver, which is nice because, like I said, the basin wrench is no fun. I'm just removing this. Now I'll go under the sink and secure these. Okay, so first the washer and then the bracket. Sometimes it helps to close your eyes, stick out your tongue a little bit. That's what I do, because I can't see what I'm doing. And the corner of this sink is hitting me right in the throat. There it is. When I get this nearly tight, then I'll adjust the direction of the valve handle, because I want it to be rotated all the way, in this case, to the right, all the way pointing out towards the side when it's in the off position. Okay, that's nice and tight. I'll do the other one, and then I'll get under the sink and do both, screw down both brackets. This is a little more comfortable because the corner of the sink isn't in my throat, but I still can't see what I'm doing, so I still have to make faces and feel my way. Oh, see, my tongue, sticking my tongue out again. Okay, now I can get under there with the screwdriver and tighten up those brackets. You want everything to be nice and tight, but you don't want to over tighten it because you can crack the sink, and then that's a whole other job that you've got to do. Okay, all right, so those are tightened down. Okay, now in order for water to come from here and here into this, you need to connect them under the sink like this. So this connector will be on the cold side, this one's on the hot side, this comes up to the faucet where they mix. And these just snap in place. Okay, so that's all snapped together. That's nice and convenient. Now I'm reattaching the hoses from the valve under the sink. When you tighten this down to one of these, when you tighten this down here, be careful not to over tighten it and crimp or bend this copper, because then you can cause a leak or you can weaken the fitting over time. So what you want to do is you want to get it basically finger tight, as tight as you can get it, and then come in with your wrench or your pliers and give it another quarter turn. All right, I'm gonna go back outside and turn the water on, and we'll see what happens. Okay, the water is back on. What you want to do is open these valves, because there will be air trapped inside the lines. The valves under the sink are still closed, and I'm going to open them one at a time and slowly, because you don't want to shock the new system with a blast of water. I'm going to start on the hot side. Let's take a look at what we see coming out when the hot water comes on. I see a dribble. And while that's running, I got my hands on the plumbing underneath here to see if I feel any drips or leaks, and I do not. So I'm turning the hot side off, and now I'm turning the cold side on. And this should be done.
Oh, that's awesome. That looks good.
Good.
You're leaky.
So far, approval.
Very happy. I could kiss you. You saved us money. Been leaking for forever, so I can't even imagine the amount of money it's cost just in wasted water. We tried to catch it with the bucket, but if you're gone for too long, the bowl there, but after a while it just overflows. And
the whole California drought, the source of it is right here.
This is my house. Sorry.
All right, this is done, and I've been in Ted's bathroom all day.
So it's really a relief to have it fixed. I appreciate your help, Justin. Thank you so much. I have a podcast called Learning Not to Swear. Justin will be on soon, right around the same time this airs, so you'll be able to listen to the podcast, and also
it's an excellent podcast. Ted talks to all kinds of different people. It's funny. It gets pretty deep, pretty serious.
It's about coping. It's about finding peace in your career and in your personal life, in your marriage. So it's called Learning Not to Swear, for good reason, because I sometimes have a problem.
But I tell you what, Ted's good at drawing people out and getting them to say stuff that they might not have said in some other interview. So who knows, because he's going to interview me, and I don't know what I might say.
He might confess to some grisly murders.
Never.